the best. Fox 10 News at 9.
Now at 9, a triple shooting in South Phoenix. What we know about the victim and the survivors.
Catastrophic flooding in northern Arizona. A popular hike turns life-threatening. We hear from hikers rescued from Havasupai Falls.
And why did the dog cross the I-17? How deputies tried to handle the situation and the big traffic backup behind it all. First, a Fox 10 News alert tonight. A person is dead after being pulled from a canal. It happened tonight in Glendale. A caller told police that someone was drifting in the water near 51st Avenue and Cactus. 2 Glendale officers pulled the person out and gave them CPR, but the victim died at the hospital.
And these are live pictures from the scene right now. You can see the police presence there. They have not released an identity or said if it was a man or woman. No word on how it happened, but definitely the investigation continues tonight. Surprise police are searching for the suspect vehicle in a hit and run that happened Friday night.
A boy was hit and injured in the incident. Fox 10's Nicole Christine joins us live tonight after talking with the family. Nicole.
Yeah, such a sad story, Brian and Ashley. 12-year-old Bridger Benner was just riding his bike home from playing basketball with some friends Friday evening around 6 o'clock when he was hit by a car right here in this intersection at the corner of 175th and Paradise in Surprise Farms. Now, after he was hit, his dad said that his body flew. He flew all the way over here about 20 feet into this median. And his family said that he blacked out, but he did come to, and it's a miracle that his injuries weren't more severe.
To see him laying on the ground was heartbreaking.
Bridger Benner's family says they were all home Friday night when they found out he'd been hit by a car a couple blocks down from their home.
My brother is right there.
I immediately started screaming for my daughter. I ran out of the house, my jammies, no shoes. We got there within 45 seconds.
When they got to the scene, they found Bridger injured in the street, his bike in pieces.
One side of the bicycle was past that fire hydrant by 50 feet. And the other half of the bicycle was in the median down there. So all I can imagine is perhaps the bike went under the car, beat around, and then maybe spit out each side.
The family couldn't ask the driver of the car because they had taken off after hitting Bridger. Now, the 12-year-old is facing a 4 to 6 week recovery from various injuries, including a broken collarbone, broken wrist, damaged knees, and a floating chip in his left hip.
All hurts. I can't believe someone would actually just leave me there, laying on the street screaming for help.
The family says they're thankful for the people who helped at the scene and have offered help after, but their biggest hope is for someone to find out who hit Bridger.
This is a sister's worst nightmare as well. It has been a nightmare, but I am just absolutely amazed with his strength and just perseverance to get through this and not completely breaking down like I would have. He is holding on to so much strength and hope, and that's what's motivating me to get out there and find who did this.
And Bridger's family says he was wearing his helmet at the time of the hit and run, and they say that this is an important reminder to others to be sure to wear that helmet when you're riding any sort of bike. Now, Surprise Police is looking for a late model dark gray Toyota Camry, and the family says that they found the back portion of the passenger side rear view mirror that is going to be missing likely from the vehicle that did this. So if you do have any information about this hit and run, you're asked to call Surprise Police or their tip line. Reporting tonight in Surprise, Nicole Christine, Fox 10 News.
Thank you, Nicole. A man is behind bars tonight accused of a deadly stabbing outside of Circle K. 36-year-old Christopher Rod is facing second-degree murder charges after being released from the hospital. It happened Monday near 16th Street and Indian School. 34-year-old Efren Partida died at the hospital. Police say the men were arguing in the parking lot and both men were stabbed.
And one person is dead and 2 others recovering after a shooting in South Phoenix today. The shooting happened early this morning near 7th Avenue and Southern. When officers arrived on scene, they found 2 men and a woman with gunshot wounds, and they were all taken to the hospital where one of the men later died. The other man and the woman are still being treated. Phoenix PD have not released any names in this deadly shooting and say they are investigating what led up to the gunfire.
A car drives into a lake tonight in Mesa. It happened near Dobson and Baseline in a man-made lake at Dobson Lake Ranch. The driver managed to get out and reach the shore, but rescue crews went in the water anyway to make sure no one else was down there. No word yet why the accident happened.
In northern Arizona, catastrophic flooding sweeps through Havasupai Falls area, stranding hikers and forcing evacuations by helicopter. A state of emergency has been declared by the Havasupai tribe. Their land is closed until further notice due to a massive rescue operation. Governor Katie Hobbs has activated the National Guard, and several people tell Fox 10 the waters came out of nowhere, sending hikers fleeing for their lives in search of higher ground. Fox 10 spoke to hikers who say the rain began to fall around 11 Thursday morning. They waited around 15 to 20 minutes thinking it would let up, but it only came down harder. And within 30 minutes, people began warning others to evacuate because flash flooding had begun. As the water started flooding the area, many were forced to leave all their belongings behind, including their shoes, and run to higher ground, which was not easy as the water kept rising.
There was a picnic table nearby, so I hurried and jumped on that. And all of them were trying to save stuff from the tent. And then the picnic table I was on started moving because the water level had gone up to like where the seats were and then kept on rising. So then it started pushing it towards where the trees were. And so I was nervous. I got off and just started holding onto a tree.
We saw the rush of water come from the village. And there was a point where my two friends were ahead of us and they were waiting for people to climb off the trail. Water was rushing too much, and that was a point I'm like, I'm not going forward anymore, because if I get swept, I'm going right up 100 yards over the falls.
200 hikers were in the area when the flooding hit, but more than 100 were stuck overnight, seeking shelter inside a tribal school where locals rushed to help. The Arizona National Guard provided a Black Hawk helicopter Friday night and began rescue efforts that lasted into Saturday morning. And the search continues tonight for a Gilbert woman swept away by the flood waters there in Havasupai. 33-year-old Chenoa Nickerson was hiking with her husband when the flash flood hit, sweeping her away in the current. Her husband used a satellite phone to call for help, but still no sign of her tonight.
Protests in northern Arizona today over a plan to haul uranium through parts of Arizona. The Pinyon Plain uranium mine route would take uranium ore along Highway 64. The radioactive material would be transported through communities like Williams, Flagstaff, and the Navajo Nation, despite a ban on hauling uranium through Native American communities. It would end up at the White Mesa Mill in Blanding, Utah. Protesters are concerned over threats to the water in the Grand Canyon, the people living near Havasupai, as well as potential accidents along the way.
The sooner they shut down operations and we begin to look at closure and trying to contain the harm, the better for the Havasupai, the better for Grand Canyon, and certainly the better for the communities.
Protesters are asking Governor Hobbs and President Biden to reject the plan. The company Energy Fuels released a statement on this today. It reads in part, "We support the right to peacefully protest. We also recognize the legacy of government-sponsored uranium production during the Cold War and inaction by federal authorities to clean these sites. However, the need for uranium to fuel carbon-free nuclear energy today must also be recognized, and we are optimistic that together we can find a mutually agreeable path forward."
A dog on the shoulder of a highway caused traffic to come to a standstill tonight. This was the scene on the I-17 near Peoria Avenue. Look at all those cars just stuck behind each other. A German Shepherd was sitting on the left shoulder. DPS troopers were able to stop traffic to help the dog, but then the animal took off.
You could see troopers running around trying to catch it, the dog darting in and out of traffic, then eventually runs onto a ramp and into a nearby park. No word where the dog came from, but it seems to be okay. Two ducks are strutting their stuff thanks to the Phoenix Wildlife Center. This is Cheese and Quackers leaving Liberty Wildlife. They are Indian runner ducks, which means they cannot fly. Cheese in the blue booties had a mild case of bumblefoot, a common bacterial infection, and the center couldn't leave out Quackers, so they gave some yellow boots to that duck. These booties will help keep the area clean so it doesn't return. Some Good Samaritans found these ducks a couple of years ago and grew concerned when they wouldn't fly away.
Well, thank you, Brian, for that update. I was wondering about quackers
So
there.
cute.
Well, lots more ahead at 9. An Arizona firefighter recovering after he was injured battling this blaze.
And later, a family searching after a murder 6 years ago. They still want justice. Can you help solve the crime?
And tonight, a cartoonist is sitting in a storefront in the West Valley creating a 24-page comic book in 24 hours. Why he's holding this marathon after the break.